in one of the most intriguing bouts that is slated for the Day of Reckoning fight card, December 23rd, we may get to see two of the heavyweight division's bruisers go head to head. And that'll be when Danny Dubois faces Shareable Miller. Believe it or not, people, this is one of the most, as I've stated, intriguing matchups in the heavyweight division. These two fighters, their styles should mesh perfectly, and we should get the type of answers out of a bout between the two that we look forward to. Let's talk a little bit more about Dubois versus Miller on the Day of Reckoning card coming up December 23rd. Boxing in 2023 continues to deliver like the mailman. Wow. Coming up, the Day of Reckoning card, where we'll get the chance to see two heavyweights go at each other to prove whether or not one deserves to be at the top of the division, challenging again for a heavyweight title or not. This card, again, I can't state it enough, is such a historical card that by the time everything is said and done, people are going to eventually crave and yearn for an encore. And will the division be able to deliver? I tell you something, it's going to be well worth tuning into. And when Danny Dubois takes on Shareable Miller, we're going to see exactly what these two men really have left. In the event of one being successful, a title shot could come before the end of 2024. However, let's look closer at what's happening with these two men as they get ready for the 23rd of December. In the case of Shareable Miller, he's 35 years of age now. I didn't even know that he was that old, but time waits for no one. He's 6'4" with a 78-inch reach. The thing about Miller is he is prone to come into fights north of 300 pounds. And it's just not healthy for a fighter to carry that much weight at a particular height. But with Miller, he's had other problems outside of just the weight issue. We know that when he was slated to face Anthony Joshua in Madison Square Garden a few years ago, he tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, banned substances. And he's been suspended. But he has fought since that opportunity, but hadn't made it anywhere near the top of the division. His last fight was a March competition against Lucas Brown, March of this year. And in that fight, Miller was able to get Brown up out of there inside of 6 rounds. But that was nothing but another opportunity to stay busy. His record now, Miller, is a competitive 26-0 with 22 KOs. Now, you might look at that record and say, wow, that's pretty good. But it is against a lot of C-level competition. We don't even know whether or not Miller is B-level, because just as he was going to get the opportunity to face Anthony Joshua, the banana peel showed its head and he was shown the door. This fight is so important for Miller. He really needs to bring the best of whatever he has to offer. And he should be nowhere in the vicinity of anything that would prevent him from having an opportunity. No clowning, no PEDs, any of those things that have sidetracked his career up until this point. The man he's facing, Danny Dubois, will be bringing his record of 19-2 with 18 KOs. Dubois has already had 2 losses, but to 2 top men in the division. His first loss was a late round stoppage in 2020, November of 2020, against Joe Joyce. In that fight, Dubois opted to take a knee after suffering some damage to one of his eyes. He came back with fights to put him back on the winning track. In June of 2022, he won a WBA title against Trevor Bryan with a stoppage of Bryan. After that, he faced Kevin Lerena in December of 2022, in which he suffered a knee injury in that fight, but still was able to get Lerena out of there with a TKO stoppage. His most recent fight was August of this year against Alexander Usyk, which saw him put Usyk to the ground in a controversial circumstance that some believed it was a low blow as called by the referee, but it appeared on replay that it wasn't as low, and Usyk seemed to milk the situation, and Dubois, who did not elect to pounce on Usyk when the fight resumed, went on to once again take a knee in the late rounds against Usyk for a stoppage. He has to decide if this is what he wants to do. He shouldn't be encouraged by fans or friends or family. He needs to really decide what he wants to do. Danny Dubois is a good fighter as far as being an offensive threat. He's strong. He carries a heavy punch. He's not the best thinker out there, and he's not the best defensively out there. So his limitations are familiar to many of the other stiffs that we used to call them that come out of the UK and perform in the heavyweight division. He's 26 years old. And at 26, Anthony Joshua held world championship titles. So for him to say, hey, I'm only 26, I got time, time waits for no one. So Dubois in this fight should be coming in to make a statement against Miller, who has also had opportunities squandered, but in a different fashion. You see why this is an intriguing matchup? Because both men have something on the line, and it could very well define who they are, not only as fighters, but as men. And they're going to need to show one another what it is. Dubois has come in and he's looking for something tangible, something that can kickstart, jumpstart his career. This fight could very well do it. And the fact that he's fighting an American, he needs to take that to heart, because there should be some sense of wanting to prove oneself against an American fighter. And this is the opportunity to do that. For Miller, similar. He's an American facing a United Kingdom fighter. American fighters over the years have had little respect for the UK fighters. So maybe he'll go into this a little extra confident based on the history. But that doesn't mean it could collapse on him in front of his face because of what Dubois might have as incentive. But I look at this as an opportunity for both men to give us something with some heat, spirit, and fire. That's the least that we could ask for here. So, at the end of things, I could see Jarrell Big Baby Miller prevailing in this fight. I could see him persevering and being successful and coming out on top. That's the way the cookie usually crumbles. But I'll tell you something. On this occasion, for whatever reason, I am going to give a nod to Danny Dubois. He has a sister that is competing in the sport, and I have said time and time again, his sister is the best fighter in the Dubois family. And if that be not motivation enough, nothing will be. So here I am giving an edge to Danny Dubois, who has so much more to fight for. All he has to do is get in there and get it done. But will he? We'll have to look and see. He hasn't made changes in the camp as far as trainers and people like that. So, going back to the drawing board to reevaluate what his motivations are, what his shortcomings may be, where he needs to excel is imperative to his journey through this process. And if he has any resolute of confidence and hope and aspiration to dream the impossible, he can prevail in this. Remember, Anderson is out there and uncertain of himself. But this particular big baby that he's facing is 34 years of age. That's getting older, people, just out of prime. And Danny, who's 10 years younger, needs to show him that. I can speak as motivational as possible, but at the end of the day, he's the man that has to get in there and get the job done. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what your thoughts are about this particular fight, and will Jarrell Miller show up and show out, or will Danny Dubois explode like dynamite and turn things around in his own career? Let's discuss. Leave comments. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.